September 27, 1999 seemed like any other day for Victoria University law student Gavin Dash. The 24-year-old had attended a lecture and had visited the Wellington Law Library to check emails. However, at 7:30 p.m, the good-natured and reliable young man failed to attend an appointment with his former landlord to get his bond back. As days passed, Gavin Dash's flatmates grew increasingly concerned. They had not seen him for days, and his bed had not been slept in. Then, a couple days later, most of Gavin's belongings that were in his room had also vanished. Police did not take the disappearance of Gavin Dash seriously. They believed that he had left on his own accord, or had possibly committed suicide due to poor exam results, exams that Gavin had not even attended. The Dash family were not happy with the direction of the investigation. Gavin seemed upbeat in the days before his disappearance and was a high achiever with a successful life ahead of him. His family hired a private investigator to look into his disappearance. 7 months before his disappearance, Gavin Dash was living in a flat in Wavell Street, Karori, with a woman named Sally Patterson. The pair were looking for a third flatmate, so they put an advertisement in the newspaper. David Gates responded to the ad and met with Dash and Patterson. The two were satisfied that the 27-year-old would be an ideal flatmate, so Gates moved in on March 10, 1999. However, cracks would appear quite quickly. Gavin Dash sent emails to his mother full of frustration about his new flatmate. In one email, he described Gates as one of the most moody, immature, and self-absorbed people I have met. We don't get along at all. The situation would reach a boiling point in May when Patterson contacted police at 2 a.m. to report that Gates had told her that after he had enough money in his bank account to take care of bills, he planned on killing her and Gavin. Patterson would move out of the flat shortly after, leaving Gavin alone with Gates. The pair constantly argued, and Gates would become enraged when Gavin would walk away from the argument or just ignore him completely. Gates would refer to Gavin as the evil fornicator, and was obsessed by the belief that he was constantly masturbating in his bedroom. On July 24, Gavin Dash moved out of the Karori flat, without giving notice to the landlord, and without saying goodbye to David Gates. Even though he left no forwarding address, Gates located his number and made 9 calls to Gavin's new flat, 3 of which were made on the day before Gavin disappeared. It took the police 6 months to interview David Gates. He denied having any involvement in the disappearance of Gavin Dash. However, his inconsistent statements began to gather against him. His blood was found in Gavin's new room, on the curtains and wardrobe, and investigators discovered that Gates had given his sister some of Gavin's belongings and sold Gavin's radio cassette player and calculator to a friend. The police seized Gates's Bedford van and his Ford Laser. After talking to police, he was committed under the Mental Health Act. In June 2000, police charged David Gates with the murder of Gavin Dash. He was also charged with the burglary of Dash's flat. On the 6th of August, Gates admitted to the murder and burglary, but pleaded not guilty on the grounds that he was legally insane at the time. Gates directed investigators to Makara Hill, where 22 metres off the walking track and in heavy bush was the headless and naked body of Gavin Dash. 7 metres from his body was Gavin's head, inside a rubbish bag stuffed in the hollow of an upturned tree. The trial would begin in August of 2001. The prosecution highlighted the months of tension between Gates and Dash, which reached a breaking point on September 27, 1999. When Gavin returned to the Karori flat at around 5:30 p.m. to collect mail, Gates punched Gavin and knocked him to the ground, then kicked him in the head, sending spots of blood behind the door. Then, Gates strangled the university student to death. He stored Gavin's body in a spare bedroom for several days before dumping it at Makara Hill. He then went to Gavin's new flat in Northland and took most of his victims' possessions and either gave them away, sold them, or destroyed them. At least 1 month after dumping Gavin's body, Gates returned to Makara Hill with an axe and some Wellington City Council rubbish bags. He removed Gavin's head with the axe and removed all clothing and identifying items like glasses and wallet and placed them in the hollow of the tree inside the rubbish bags. He would return to the body again sometime later and bury the remains of a yellow spade that he had taken from his mother's home. Gates's father testified that his son had told him that he had killed Gavin Dash because he was evil and the murder was necessary to prevent himself and others from being harmed. In the previous years, Gates had become increasingly erratic and moody. He became heavily involved in a fundamentalist Christian church. He told a friend that Dash, as an academic and atheist, disputed his Christian beliefs, which made him unwell. He told the same friend after the murder that Dash picked on the wrong Christian. He had delusions that he was the prophet Elijah, and that his father was a Satanist that was having incestuous relationships with his siblings. Gates had confronted an old schoolmate, saying he wanted vengeance for being picked on at school. He made references to the Bible and Judgment Day, and spoke of how he got a rush from killing a dog, and how much greater that rush would be from killing a human. Gates's mother told the court that her son was obsessed with zombies, and may have decapitated Gavin Dash to prevent him from turning into one. Both sides agree that David Gates had a paranoid type of schizophrenia. One psychiatrist said that if Gates had not been locked up, he would have committed a second murder. On September 3, 2001, after 8 hours of deliberation, the jury found David Gates not guilty of the murder of Gavin Dash due to insanity. However, they found him guilty of the burglary of Gavin Dash's flat. After months of pleading for a proper investigation, the Dash family were visibly downcast with the verdict. "It's a sad day for justice," said Gavin's father.